Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, the show right here on Let's Talk Entertainment, where going back to 2018, I've been attempting to read and review each of the roughly 600 short stories written by the late, great Ray Bradbury. We are up to our 265th story, which is also the 5th of 25 stories in our current collection. One more for the road from 2002. Today's story is called In Memoriam, and we're going to talk about it here in just a moment. If you're new to the channel, the way that this works is I do a brief synopsis of what happens in the story, and then I try to wrap it up with just a very brief analysis, a light analysis, nothing too complicated of what I took away from the story. I just sort of thoughts and things about the themes, and was it a good story? Was it worth your time to read or not? I mainly do this for my own entertainment, but on occasion I learned that some of you people are watching them, and that's pretty cool too. All right then, so a man is driving home through town in the afternoon. He's sort of glancing in his rearview mirror, and he's looking but not really noticing that there's basketball hoops on pretty much all of the garages, and there seems to be a lot of petals falling through the air off these beautiful trees that live in his neighborhood. When he gets to his house, as he's pulling up the driveway, he notices his wife standing at the foot of a ladder. On the ladder is a young man who appears to be taking down their own basketball hoop. He gets out of his car, he freaks out, he orders the man away, he tells his wife this basketball hoop is staying, no questions about it, no discussions, that basketball hoop is never coming down. We soon learned that they had a son who went missing in action in Vietnam. He's declared dead. There's not even a tombstone in a nearby cemetery, anything for them to sort of rest flowers on. So this basketball hoop sort of stands as a last memorial to his memory. But the man, he's having a hard time moving on. He's having a hard time sleeping recently, and he sort of feels like he's waiting for something. And his wife notices all of this, and she's sort of worried about him. And that evening, when they go into dinner, she tries to help him sleep by, giving a little bit extra wine and sort of trying to relax him. But nothing really works, because by the middle of the night, he's up and he finds himself down in the garage. He sort of pulls the old basketball out of the boxes and sort of sets it on the concrete, and he's just waiting and listening, and he sort of indicates that he hears something, he feels something, and maybe a leaf blowing in the breeze, and then we sort of cut to the next morning. The next morning, sort of as his wife looks out, she discovers that the basketball hoop is gone and all of their son's things are gone. The man says, I don't really know where it's at, but a remarkable thing happened last night. I played a game. I played a game of basketball, and it was a tie. We both won. And it's sort of this implication that he played a game with the spirit of his son. So, in the positive department, this is a beautiful story with a lot of sorrow and longing, and sort of trying to very vaguely tackle the topic of loss, of parents outliving their children, and sort of the uncertainty of a person being lost at war and never coming home and never really getting to say goodbye. And in terms of the pantheon of Bradbury's stories, it's a great swing, but it's also inevitably a miss. It doesn't really lock things down at the end. It doesn't really satisfy you. It doesn't quite tell or accomplish, for me at least, the thing that I think Bradbury was trying to accomplish. But at the same time, it is a good swing. I love the idea that old basketball hoops sort of rotting away on the sides of houses as a symbol for certain aspects of American life and the American family. And as you see these long forgotten basketball hoops that used to be played at every night, where did the children go? Did they move away? Did they just grow old? Or did something more horrible like this, their death, ultimately happen? And then as a result, the parents who live on in their memory may have a hard time sort of moving on from those memories and taking down those hoops, which are sort of rotting away up there like that. But yeah, ultimately not one of the better Ray Bradbury stories. There's something to be said about a story that is a little bit ambiguous, a little bit vague, not heavy-handed. This one could probably serve itself better by being a little bit more heavy-handed, a little bit more explicit about what this connection is this father has with this presence that he feels that night and plays this game. But instead, Bradbury sort of cuts immediately away from that to the next morning and sort of tries to surprise us that way. But it doesn't quite work, and not in the way that I would expect it to work from the hands of somebody such as Bradbury. But yeah, maybe it's this is as it should be. Maybe story should not answer all of its own questions, because this family, these characters don't have all of their questions answered either, because their son is never coming home, apparently never found. So there you have it. In Memoriam, story number 5 of 25 in One More for the Road. Tune back in probably next week, and we'll be looking at another story called Téte-á-Téte, which is the 6th of 25 short stories, our 266th Bradbury review overall, as we slowly close in on probably the halfway point in this project of roughly 600 short stories. So there you have it. Thank you, and I will see you again soon.